Love the bloke, but something needs to change soon. He needs to change up his game and quickly. Hero, back in 100%, done it before, will do it again. The best since Frank Clark. A good man manager, but tactically inept. He's never improved the team, still persists with negative, lay down, surrender, low block crap. I couldn't give a crap. You guessed it. What he did for us 2 seasons ago, what he brings now, and that is crap all. Evangelos Marinakis has spent 250 million and Cooper is wasting it and will be sacked very soon. Thank God. And that, everyone, is the 2 sides of the Nottingham Forest fan base. Oh, Rads has done a Twitter post. Let's have a look at that. Top quality YouTube channel, by the way, I must say. What is your honest opinion of Steve Cooper right now? I'm getting on this straight away. Cooper out! Exclamation mark. Useless. Big Sam in for me. So why has that got 17 replies and just 2 likes? Because I don't understand. Someone just called me a brain dead idiot. Bit harsh. There is a lot of pressure again mounting on Steve Cooper because of the latest run of form. 6 games without a win, 4 of them being draws, 2 being defeats to away to 2 of the best sides in the world. I don't think that's too bad. But when you look at it a bit closely, it is at the same time. Not beating Burnley, being completely outplayed by their antics mainly. Brentford was actually a fair result, really, on its own, but around everything else, it's still frustrating. This is not in order of when they happen, but Man City, we actually played well, I thought. Overall in that game, considering what we were facing, we were playing a rather good football team. Crystal Palace, it was quite dull really for both sides, but there was still a few positives to take. So really, it's not too bad besides the last 2 games, but the last 2 games are quite significant reasons to be, you know, at least talking about what's going wrong. The Luton implodement, is that a word? I think it is. The whole game was actually quite good minus the last 20 minutes, so sort that out, lads. See a game out, you know what I mean? Don't bring on subs for the sake of it. Don't go incredibly defensive when you're 2-0 up against Luton. And then Liverpool, well, it's Liverpool, but we've done well against other big 6 sides in the grand scheme of things we had. Why did we rock up to our Anfield and just let them, you know, roll us over? That's the frustrating thing. The manner of defeat against Liverpool and then the entire implodement against Luton. Thing is though, we are back in that little limbo period of new players being integrated into the side. In fact, it is since all those new players we signed on transfer deadline day have been in this Forest team that we haven't won a game. So I don't think that's a coincidence at all. Before that, we technically had a worse team. Say what you want about Ryan Yates and Joe Wall, but both of them aren't as good as the players that we've bought in since, technically. But with them in the team, of course, we're used to them being in the side, and then the side that ended last season was still very much the core of it. So it is the team of last season, but there's also quite a few new lads, not at all as vastly changed as what it was last season from the start of it, but there's still a lot of new players. It's still 13 new people, not just players, but people to integrate into this system. And we've still got players like Andre Santos, who has hardly kicked a ball for us, despite finally coming on against Liverpool. Lakodimos still hasn't played, and Andrew Omobadadeli still hasn't even been on the bench. So it's an influx of players, and that is difficult no matter who you are. Pep Guardiola, if he suddenly had 8 new players in that Man City team, yes, they would be a much higher level than what we are. They'd be world-class players. They probably could do it a bit easier than what we're having to do. But I don't think City would be winning constantly, certainly as convincingly, if they suddenly had 8-9 new players in their starting 11. I've already mentioned there, injuries are playing a part too. I'm not even just making excuses here for Cooper, they're legitimate reasons. I'm not going to completely defend him though, you'll see in a minute. Those are very, very valid reasons as to why Forest haven't won for 6 games. New players, they'll be integrated eventually, that won't be a problem, hopefully for much longer. Injuries, that's always going to happen, especially with our luck. It was terrible last season, it seems to be terrible again this season. Why is that happening as well? That needs to be investigated. But there's 2 much bigger issues that I think is causing this run of form. It's the attitude of the club and the fans, and then also genuinely the style that we're playing football in, and that is Steve Cooper that is in charge of that. I've said it enough times the last several games. I said it against Luton. It was actually in the title of it, and I said it in the review. Self-entitlement. The club reeks of it at the moment, and I don't like it. It's not the Forest that I like to see.
What's up with you? Oh, it's Forest. We should be top 4 at a minimum. Whoa, calm down. It's only your second season back in the Premier League. We've just signed Ibrahim Sangara from PSV. They win their league all the time, especially now Ajax are crap. He was going to go to Bayern Munich. He was going to go and link up with Harry, bag a load of assists for them. We're better than Bayern Munich. Didn't you sign 7 players on deadline day? You really think that's going to work straight away? Plus the lads that you'd already... No, there's no excuses. I want the 3rd star on this shirt. We should have already had it. We should have been in the Champions League last season. That is literally impossible. You got promoted. How could you have possibly been in Europe? By the way, Cooper, he's a waste of space. He can get lost.
It took Brighton pretty much 5 seasons to really become anywhere near the level they are now. And, you know, I'm not even saying we're ever going to reach Brighton's level. It may take us less time if we were to reach Brighton's level, but I've just seen it banded about saying, oh yeah, why aren't we doing top 10, you know? We should get in a much better manager and we can do that. Who says we'll do what Villa have done and get rid of Dean Smith, a man that they all really love, got him back up into the Premier League? And obviously we all love Steve Cooper. You should do anyway if you're a Forest fan. Just thank him at the very least. They then had a massive detour with Steven Gerrard, of course. Basically made them a relegation team. And then they got an elite manager in Unai Emery, and look at where they are now. Yes, maybe without the detour in the middle to a really bang average manager only because of his name that he went there. We could get rid of Steve Cooper and get in a big name like Lopetegui or Graham Potter. But is that realistic? Would that actually happen? And who says we'll go for them anyway? For all we know, we could go for someone that's totally against what we want to be as a club. I don't know who, but it could be someone that you don't really want. Jesse Marsch. No thank you. Speaking of Leeds, what did Leeds do? They got rid of a man that they adored. I was pretty sure they named a pub after Marcelo Bielsa in Leeds, shockingly. They got rid of him. Fans adored him just like we do Steve Cooper. But that didn't exactly work at all because they're now in the Championship. They got Jesse Marsch, Sam Allardyce. Look where they are. Javi Gracia, I completely forgot about him as well. The point is we've got to be careful what we wish for. We have to be careful because I just can't believe I'm even saying this. Like, you know, think about where we were just 2 seasons ago. You know, getting promoted out the Championship was still for me the greatest thing that's happened to this club. For me. In the time I can remember. Obviously we've done much bigger things than that, but still, it was just incredible. But I still remember those days, as a younger fan anyway. I remember where we've come from. I'm just still delighted to be in the Premier League. I want us to push forward, but I'm being realistic about it. When I did my Premier League predictions, I'm pretty sure I said I don't think we'll be getting relegated. I was fairly confident of it, and I still am pretty confident that we can survive for sure. I feel, I like to believe that I'm being a bit more realistic about what my expectations are for this season, because I think some are just being a bit over the top. So the attitude of the fans, and I do to a degree think the attitude of the team and the whole club just needs to take a step back a bit and just realise where we've come from as a club, where we are as a club, and actually know what's realistic. Just let this team form, because it still is forming, and just take it from there. And if it still isn't working, then maybe we can talk again. But I just feel we need to reevaluate where we are as a club. And, you know, there's been a number of people that I've spoken to at games in the past saying we can't get too cocky and carried away. And that is exactly what's happened. That is exactly the reason for me why atmospheres at the City Ground have been so poor this season for the standards that we've set the last couple of seasons. We missed that atmosphere big time. That atmosphere was everything to us in the promotion season and keeping us in the Premier League. And yes, we've not really played anyone major at home yet, but still, it should be rocking based off how it was last season. One more point is obviously the way we play. Obviously this is firmly on Steve Cooper, and it is the thing that probably is the most important when it comes to talking about Cooper specifically, which is what this video is about. Low block, counter attack. It's the way we've been playing for quite some time now. We've done well on the road this season by playing that, but even in the games we've actually done well in, or at least played well in, we haven't done it enough in terms of attacking, that is. Apart from Man City and Chelsea, we actually did attack, I think, a lot in those games, but Liverpool's the prime example. Sat off them the entire game, didn't even try and press them hardly at all, and just invited pressure constantly. And the amount of times that works, you can probably count on one hand. It's not going to be much. I just wanted us to have a bit more of a go against Liverpool like we did against Man City and Chelsea, and yet we just sat off them. So that is something that needs to change. Luton, the substitutions were just atrocious. Bringing on Chiarte, who for me is nowhere near up to it anymore. As much as I love Joe Wall, it was the wrong move when you had Moussa Niakate there. Why was Willy Bolly playing if he was jet lagged? Like, as great as he is, if he's really unfit, then why was he starting that game? Why didn't you just rest him? So the substitutions, that's always been an issue of Cooper's. I think he's always made mistakes like that. And Nico and Aina coming out in that game were probably fair enough, but it was still overloading the defence when we didn't really need to. We just literally went into our shell against Luton, and I'm talking about self-entitlement, but still, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be afraid against anyone in this league. You should take the game to them as best you can, but especially against a newly promoted team at home. When we were 2-0 up, that's the biggest thing. We were 2-0 up. Why were we basically panicking? As soon as you score your second goal, make 3 subs, weaken the team, take the spine of the team out. It was just a terrible move from Cooper, and it cost us big time. I'm glad that he did eventually admit to that. So that needs to change. That really needs to change. For me, firmly Steve Cooper in. But he needs to change the way he approaches games just a little bit more. We need to be a bit more intense in the way we approach taking on other teams, attack more, because we're just not attacking enough. We're sitting off teams too much, giving them too much respect, time, space, and if one simple little thing goes against us, it just seems to send us into a freezy like Sheffield United in the second half. We were doing quite well in the first half, I thought, and then Sheffield United just came out all guns blazing and they were just absolutely dominating us. So we were lucky to win, really. The amount of times we get dominated in our own home stadium is concerning, and then we actually dominate against Luton and we still don't win. If you have enjoyed this little review of where we're at the moment, please let me in the comments below what you think of the situation with Forest in general and Steve Cooper. If you have enjoyed this, please hit the like button, subscribe to Rads if you're new. Next video, of course, will be covering the Aston Villa game as per ever. Finally back at the City Ground this weekend. I've not been longer than most, actually. I didn't go to the Luton game, of course. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Up the Reds.